Good afternoon. My name is Anne-Sophie Garrigou. I'm working with EIT Climate-KIC. EIT Climate-KIC is Europe's leading climate innovation initiative. We use systems innovation to catalyze change in cities, regions, industries, and value chains. We are working across Europe to fully decarbonize over 100 cities and help 150 regions become climate resilient. We're also using our 12 years experience of helping startups to scale across Europe, to support local partners in Africa and South America who are working on building a climate innovation ecosystem. So today we want to talk about how best to address the challenges that entrepreneurs face, and we're going to talk about a report that we worked on with Britter Bridges on the state of the climate tech innovation ecosystem in Africa. And we will talk about the role women are playing in innovation and entrepreneurship and how barriers to access to finance can be further addressed. So unfortunately, one of our speakers' flight was delayed, but today we have Audrey S. Darko, a researcher, a farmer from Ghana. She's also the founder and CEO of Sabon Sake. You'll explain the meaning of this later. And your startup equips farmers with the tools to battle soil degradation and enhance their livelihood. We also have Andy Kerr, who is the Chief Strategy Officer of EIT Climate-KIC. And we have Cassia Moraes, which is a strategic programs builder at EIT Climate-KIC. Thank you for joining me. So we'll start with Andy. I wanted to ask you to explain a little bit about how Climate-KIC is working with partners on the ground to support and scale climate innovation in Africa.
So thank you, Anne-Sophie. So as EIT Climate-KIC, we have three main ways of working with and supporting local entrepreneurs to help build climate tech and climate tech innovation ecosystems across Africa. One is that we work directly to support with technical assistance or enterprise assistance with individual organizations. Secondly, we run a series of programs across Africa, both in terms of developing ideas, which we call Climate Launchpad, or we help accelerate early stage businesses, by which we mean we help them to build their business model, to bring in investors, so that they can actually move from an idea through to a vibrant business at the end of the process. And the third area that we work on is trying to build the innovation ecosystems to support multiple organizations, both government, private sector, investors, entrepreneurs, because we find by bringing those innovation ecosystems together, it helps to support the growth of new ideas and new organizations with jobs, with skills, with investment into the places that we are putting these innovation ecosystems. So those are the three areas that we work on directly to try and support local entrepreneurs, local innovation ecosystems across Africa.
Thank you. And Audrey, so you're an entrepreneur, you have your startup. Can you introduce us to Sabon Sake and share with us the experience of starting and growing your company?
It's a pleasure to be here, honestly, and to share what we do at Sabon Sake. So I'm Audrey S. Darko. I'm lead and founder of Sabon Sake. Sabon Sake is derived from the Hausa language, and that means to transform or to make something new again. And for us, we felt that we need to live up to the meaning of our name, of not just, since we're in the regenerative agriculture space, not just transform waste into value-added products, but then also transform the mindsets of the agricultural communities and organizations that we partner and work with about the climate, about the impact on the environment, and then rally support as we go. So I'll start off with that. And we started off with research and piloting some 3.5, 4 years ago, and officially took the jump and officially registered as a company about 2 years ago. So in all, it's been 4 years of research, pilot, ideation, bootstrapping from the get-go. And now we're an organization with people from within the community that we hire, extending our farmer network, those who are equipped and knowledgeable about climate change, to about 700 to 1,000 plus. And for us, we focused on ensuring that good soil health management is key and turning around the climate crisis, ensuring that farmers are aware of how to be drought resilient with the crops that they grow, ensuring that they're knowledgeable about how to navigate it. And then lastly, incentivizing them through partnership with corporate organizations who want to multiply their climate impact. We connect them with the regenerative farmer networks that we have under our umbrella. And then through that, we are able to whittle down climate finance, so carbon finance, from the corporate organization down to the grassroots farmers doing right by the environment. So these are the two things we're doing: good soil health management through manufacturing and using clean tech to do that. And then secondly, ensuring that they can access climate finance with support from corporate organizations and NGOs alike.
Thank you. And going back to Andy, so EIT Climate-KIC worked on a report with Britta Bridges that I just mentioned called Adapt, Mitigate and Grow, an analysis of climate tech innovation in Africa. And can you tell us what are the main findings of the report, or maybe the things that surprised you the most?
Thanks, and Sophie. So yes, so in terms of looking at the climate tech landscape across Africa, I think it's worth saying that I think everyone who's involved in the report acknowledged that to allow climate tech to thrive, we do need government, private sector, we need the innovation support mechanisms and landscape, and we need consumers actually to be aligned to allow these fantastic young businesses to start to grow and develop. So that's a kind of a given that we need to do. In terms of what we found across Africa in terms of the state of the industry, what we found was that there was a growing investment into climate tech across Africa, particularly in renewables and solar, but also, in fact, as we've just heard, a lot of work into natural resource efficiency management, doing it with precision agriculture, with data analytics, and there's also increasing work around waste and reusing and rethinking how we use waste streams. So I think there is a fantastic landscape out there, and I think the biggest surprise, I think, to us was just the sheer breadth and excitement and vibrancy within that landscape. I think if we look forward, where we saw very particular gaps, and again, I think picking up, Audrey, your point, was looking at the blended finance, the finance that allows people to grow. So there's lots of good early stage companies, there's lots of good ideas out there. How do we get them beyond just being an idea and a small company to saying, where are the things that we can replicate across different communities, across different places, indeed across different countries? And how do we build the sort of patient capital, the long-term patient finance, public sector finance, private sector, institutional finance, that allows these fantastic ideas really to grow and thrive across Africa. So I think that was kind of the next step that we feel really needs to be addressed to take companies like yours, to take other ideas really forward over the next few years.
Thank you. And the report is available on our website. It's climate-kic.org. So Audrey, we know that access to finance is much more difficult for women entrepreneurs than for men entrepreneurs in climate and other spaces and all over the world. Can you tell us a little bit about what this has been like for you?
Yes, I do agree with that statement. As a female entrepreneur, I'll start with the statistics, and I recently read that just about 2.3% of women are funded, by VC or venture capital, and I think it's sad, honestly, especially when you know that women at the front lines are able to create increased sustainability whenever they are involved in businesses or communities or whatever. And also, you realize that access to finance for women, I'm hoping it's not getting harder, but showing the statistics, it does prove that it's not easy to access it. For us, we've just focused on, we started off with bootstrapping, and then secondly as well, we started looking at accelerators, incubators, and we had the privilege of getting accepted into Climate-KIC Accelerator, and for us that was good timing, because it enabled us to not give up on ourselves. And normally I'll go back to the stereotypes. Women entrepreneurs tend to when they run their businesses, I feel, tend to have stereotypes surrounding them in terms of whether they're going to be there for the long haul, whether they're really into this, will they, get married and vanish, all of that. But then you find out that when you have access to accelerators, incubators, that not just shape how your business model, could impact communities and be scalable and all that, but also shapes your mindset, your self-esteem. How do you think about yourself as a woman entrepreneur? Is this a career, you could thrive in and all that? So for us, those are the ways, we've been trying to access climate finance, and then now in our journey, we're looking at bringing investors in because we are ready, and we've been well groomed by accelerators and incubators. Thanks.
Thank you. And so Climate-KIC is now more and more investing in female entrepreneurship to accelerate this inclusive transition. And we are working in Tanzania, Uganda, Vietnam, and Colombia with local partners who are implementing pilot projects that aim to better serve and support female entrepreneurs. And we worked on something called the WeClim Equally Gender Smart Handbook, which is a guide for integrating a gender perspective into our partners' pilot program. So, Cassia, now I'm handing over to you. Can you introduce us to the report and tell us also why is this needed so much?
Thank you, Anne-Sophie. I'm very happy to be here talking about this. I've been an entrepreneur myself before joining Climate-KIC, and I couldn't agree more with Audrey of the challenges that we face. And this book is, in addition to support this work that you just mentioned, we want to share here at the conference. We're going to have an event tomorrow to promote it widely because, as our CEO, Kirsten, said, we need everyone to do the transition for climate neutral societies, and women are half of the world. They cannot be left behind. We are losing so much potential in not supporting women. And moreover, we have also the intersection of climate and innovation still being a male-dominated sector, even though women are facing more the impacts of climate change for many reasons. And we also have what we call the eco-gender gap, which means that women are more likely to pursue environmentally friendly behavior than men. And with all these things combined, we still are not supporting women and climate entrepreneurs, women climate entrepreneurs as much as we could. So we developed this guide that is called WeClim Equally Gender Smart Handbook for Climate Programs. And the idea is a very straightforward 40-page guide. The first part, you have what we call a goal setting section that you are going to have to set your vision, where do you want to be, and your mission related to the topic. Then you do also situation analysis to see what you are doing well or not, so what should you focus. And there's a bonus part that we call the persona. So you can build who is the women entrepreneur that you want to target on your incubator or accelerator, which are the target group for us, for this guide. And then the second part, we have four steps that we suggest. First, to build and grow diversity in your own team, because we have to walk the talk. If you have an all-white male team, it's more difficult for you to also grasp. And this will cascade after your team to juries, to mentors, to the partners that you are going to call. second, you have to promote your program to the right entrepreneurs. And this might be also adjusting a little bit the language. The third step is also supporting climate entrepreneurs in a gender smart way. So assessing what are the needs of these women entrepreneurs. Sometimes a very long form might be more difficult. Some women entrepreneurs might need help with daycare to go to the events. And the last step is selecting the most promising climate innovations in an inclusive manner, which means having a diverse jury as well. And finally, you have a work plan to put everything into action after doing these steps.
And it's also a lot about raising awareness from the difference of like being a woman entrepreneur and how to overcome that. Do you feel like this kind of handbook would help investors as well to understand what women are going through, women entrepreneurs?
So, yes, I mean, I think we were picking this up in a conversation before we came on stage, and the very strong sense that the power of diversity in promoting innovation is critical if we're going to see the sorts of change that is required within communities across, not just across Africa, around the world. So there is a tendency for innovation to have come from a particular place, often very male, often very technology focused, and not be thinking actually about how do we bring in the needs of the community, the people, at the heart of what we're trying to do. So for us, yeah, I think increasingly investors are seeing the opportunity of a much more diverse innovation ecosystem as being a really strong point in order to allow them to invest, because actually the risk of failure is much lower if you're embedding these ideas right at the heart of communities that are then going to go and thrive. So, yes.
And Audrey, you mentioned also before when we were talking that investors had stereotypes on women. Can you share a little bit of this?
Yeah. Yes. I'd say they're subtle. Some might be overt, where outrightly they might have their opinion that you're not here for a long time. So what is their benefit if they're not going to be there for a long time, and you might be out of office, whatever, for a long time? I think these are some of the stereotypes. I've experienced some of them. I know of friends that have also experienced that, and that's why I could say that. I wouldn't generalize it, but in subtle ways, you definitely get the drift.
Thank you. So we mentioned a lot of the barriers to innovation, and I really want us to also talk a little bit about the solution. The handbook is one. Maybe we start with Andy. Can you start by telling us how our local partners are working on solving the challenges some of the challenges that we just mentioned? Sorry.
So if I keep it at quite a high level and let Audrey and Cassia talk a little bit more about on the ground side, at a high level, I mean, there are a series of events actually this week which are really trying to address how do we bring in the finance in a way that actually gets down to the ground. There's lots of talks of all this money out there, but in practical terms, how much is actually landing in ways that support local entrepreneurs, local organizations, local companies in different places? And the answer is it's pretty mixed. So finding ways of actually building that wall of money that people talk about and getting it down into the ground. So we're seeing a lot of efforts in terms of how do we align both the risk profile that, say, multilateral banks, local banking institutions, local investors. So we're aligned around supporting the SDGs, so we're aligned around supporting local entrepreneurship and community. So there's a lot of work trying to tackle that. It's not yet successful, but that's something that's being pushed very hard. I think in terms of the work that we are seeing very practically is that where we are getting these innovation ecosystems working up and running, and our first one that we've really been trying hard with is in Tanzania, has been around getting that absolute buy-in from all these different players in the ecosystem, you know, the public sector, the private sector, the investors, the entrepreneurs, the community who are going to be buying some of these products and services, to show that we need to get beyond individual incremental solutions, but actually these are system problems that need multiple barriers overcome: access to finance, market making, social engagement, social behaviors, and so on. So it's putting all of these things together in an innovation ecosystem that allows us to move forward much faster and much more effectively to support the local community and to support the local entrepreneurs. So those are the things we're starting to see coming out. But again, we are learning so much from doing this work, and actually what we're showing is this two-way flow from learning what is happening in the work that we're doing in Africa compared with the work we're doing in Europe. Actually has been hugely beneficial to us to get that shared learning across these ecosystems, because there is much that we can learn from both sides.
Thank you. And Audrey and Cassia, maybe from your experience, you have ideas and suggestions on the things you'd need to scale for instance, for you, Audrey, to scale your business?
Definitely, finance is a no-brainer. Women, men, we need finance in order to create more sustainable, robust businesses. I'll just focus on two things, and these are two things we've been applying over the 2 years that we've been operating successfully, and that is community, making sure that you're building community, accessing community, networking, creating groups of like-minded and unlike-minded individuals, that would steer you on and spur you on the journey. And then the second thing would be when you don't have finance, but then you have people who have already walked that path, help you out, and then you can keep going. So those are my two things.
Yeah, perhaps two things from my side, and they are related. Finance is not only 1 million as an investment. It can be like giving you 6 months of paying your bills, and you can dedicate to your business or your organization. Remember, in the first years of the organization I founded, Youth Climate Leaders, I had a full-time job and the organization. And of course, I went through a burnout because it's not sustainable. And they expect you to do that way. They, okay, you have a very nice idea, it's not still investment ready, so work and pay your accounts if you can, or your bills. And the second thing that is also related is capacity development in a way, and this can be combined like with funding. While you are being trained, you can receive some funding to pay your bills because investors expect people to be fully ready. And sometimes you need a little adjustment, you need some help to find the right founder, co-founder. Most of the business, they don't go beyond a certain amount of years because of lack of funding and the wrong co-founder. So you need help to find these things. So, and Climate-KIC also offers a lot of capacity building programs that we develop. And it's not rare to see that someone that did a program as the Journey, Pioneers, Young Innovators, later go to our entrepreneurship program. So it's very interesting to see.
Thank you very much. We're already out of time. So thank you for listening. If you want more information, we're going to be outside for a couple of minutes. And then for people who are online, you can also contact us at media@climate-kic.org. Thank you.